Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with another battle to the death for you. Today, we have the We Knives 818 Streak, pretty new model from them, against the Spyderco Kapara, also pretty new model for them. I initially was going to do this comparison between the Wii and the Spyderco Paramilitary 2, but when I started doing it, I thought, no, the Kapara is a much better comparison. Yeah, the PM2 is not really super tactical, but it's more tactical than the Streak is intended to be. These are both intended to be more slim sort of EDC knives, and also when you try and do a comparison against a PM2, it's a whole thing about which version. They come out in so many different versions, so the Kapara is only one version. This is only one version other than some color choices we'll get into in a moment. Fairly close in price, looking at $146 for the Streak and $188.50 for the Kapara. So not super close, but pretty close. But I think in overall use, they're both kind of slim EDCs and both pretty similar in kind of blade intent uses and stuff. So yeah, I think this is a much better comparison. So let's get to it. How does this go? You've got design and aesthetics, quality, blade, ergonomics, carry, deployment, and value. Those 7 categories. At the end, we're going to add them all up, and we're going to pick a winner. So let's do some stats before we get into all that, though. You have on the Kapara, a little quick overview of it. Yes, it is the pretty new Alistair Phillips design, came out a couple months ago. Carbon fiber handles made in Taichung, Taiwan, S30V steel. Very, very pretty knife. Designed, he said, primarily for kitchen use, but it actually just makes an awesome EDC. And it was very widely regarded. It was a finalist for my knife of the year. It wound up finishing second for my knife of the year for 2018. So very, very good knife. And a lot of people love it for very, very good reason. It's already becoming kind of I think it's a future classic for Spyderco. It's a very cool knife. Overall length we have is 8¼ inches. Blade length of 3.6 inches. You have a blade thickness of just 0.11 inches. Pretty thin, slicey blade. Handle thickness of 0.51 inches. And a weight of just 3.4 ounces. Not bad at all for a blade this size. Next up. Sorry about my voice. I've been talking way too much the last couple days. My wife would say I talk too much all the time. Overall length, 8 inches. You have a blade length of 3.45 inches. You have a blade thickness of 0.13, handle thickness of a little thicker, 0.56, and a weight of 3.8 ounces. So also pretty light, not as light as the Kapara is. This is another new model for Wii. I'm excited. I was kind of excited to see it because we came out with the Civivi line, which is their budget stuff, and they had not really released anything new in a few months in this mid-range price bracket they do, which I think they do so well. So I was very happy to see this back again, or something back again in that line. Very, very neat knife. I really do like it. M390 steel G10 liner lock. You have a titanium milled pocket clip. Very nice, pretty simple design. Now, let's get into the scoreable categories here. We will talk about the design and aesthetics. First of all, this is only one version of the Streak. It also comes in a green and a tan, and you can get in a partially DLC-coated blade. Comes in a bunch of different versions. It's not an unattractive knife by any means. Actually, part of the reason why I got it was I really like the look of it. The blade has a very distinct kind of look to it, that kind of sweep. We'll talk more about that. I don't mind the blue on this one. Some of the color schemes, if you get it like on the green, I don't think the blue looks very good, but some people seem to really like that. They certainly do sell a lot of those green-blue combinations, so a lot of people seem to like it. The Kapara, though, is just a striking knife. It really, really is. Photos don't do it justice. Video doesn't do it justice. First of all, I like the overall shape of it. It's unique, but I think it's very attractive. And then when you see one in person, that carbon, though, oh my gosh, it's nice. That carbon is so pretty. And it's got the red G10 backspacer, which is a homage to some sort of spider, I believe. And the custom model this is based off of the Redback. So it's got the wire clip, titanium pivot. The rest of the hardware is stainless. I think this thing is just awesome looking, especially in person. So pretty clear win design and aesthetically wise to the Kapara, unless you're really into green or tan and you must have everything green or tan. I think that's a much better looking knife. Quality. This one was tough. I'm just going to say right up front, I'm going to call it a tie. And I think that is a big accomplishment for we, because this is a Tai Chung Spyderco, which if you know, this is kind of the best they can do. And the quality on it is excellent. It's really good. Centering was great. All that stuff. No issues whatsoever. Tai Chung is the best Spyderco can offer. And this is a mid-range we. And I'm calling it a tie. So I'm calling it a tie, but it's kind of a win for we, in a way, if you know what I mean. That their mid-range knives are, in my opinion, you judge them by these two, just as well made as the Tai Chung Spydercos. So that's really saying a lot, I think. Next up, blade. Also a very tough one. You got M390. All right, that's better. The Kapara's only S30V, which that is going to hurt it later. Spoiler alert. But I don't have a problem with S30V, and I think Spyderco does a good job with it. But at the price, anywho, we'll talk about more about that. A little slimmer blade on the Kapara. A little thicker here, but not much. And this is also the streak is also much thinner behind the edge. I think this was about 15 thousandths behind the edge versus about 18 or 19. And as you can see, the height of the grind isn't that far off each other. This is a full flat grind on the Kapara. You've got a little bit of a saber grind, high saber grind, I guess you call it, on the Wii. I couldn't decide. I definitely prefer the blade shape on the Kapara. I find it a very useful knife, and I use it for what they said it's for food prep. It does work great for it. I've used it for that. I use it in the kitchen a little bit, but I also just use it for EDC stuff, and it's a great shaped blade. There are times using the streak that I wish it was just more of a straight drop point than this very dramatic, sweep we have here. I don't think it needs quite that much belly, but it is M390. It is thinner behind the edge, so I'm going to call it a tie. But if you're not a steel snob and you don't mind S30V, I think this is a better blade. But some people are just going to be like, well, this is M390. It's better. I can't argue with you about that, really. So we're going to call it a tie for that. Ergonomics. This was another, all these categories are pretty tough on these. I don't think either of them had really huge wins. Ergonomically, the streak is really good. This jimping up here is awesome. It's just the right amount of aggressive. No hot spots at all. You can feel the ridges for the liner lock a little bit, but not much. A choil you can kind of use, but not really. But other than that, it is really good ergonomically. It's excellent ergonomically. It really is. But for my hands, the Kapara isn't just excellent ergonomically. It's kind of special. Then the more I use it, the more I feel that way. It just feels so comfortable in my hand. Yes, this carbon is slick. You do have some G10, you got some grippiness there, but yeah, it's just, I much prefer having this in my hand. Even though the streak is awesome, this is just that much better. And you can't really choke up. It has kind of a forward finger choil that Spyderco likes to call the 50-50 choil. This is like the 80-20 choil, I guess you'd call it. But and it does work good for that. But yeah, that ergonomically, this is just special. The Kapara is really just special to me. It fits my hands just perfectly. And again, it's got a pretty slim handle, so you kind of wonder. But I've got really long fingers, and it fits my hand just fine. Carry wise. This is one that I guess was kind of a clear win. And this might be a personal preference thing for me. So if you guys don't agree with this, that's fine. Yeah, I like the wire clip. Nice deep carry wire clip on the Kapara. As you can see, the Kapara is a little wider, a little taller, but not not dramatically so, but I don't think this knife needs a milled clip. In my opinion, it would carry lower if it had a loop over clip of some kind. And the flipper tab does stick out in your pocket a little bit, or the Kapara is, even though it's obviously longer and a little wider, it doesn't feel as big in my pocket at all. I can definitely get my hands past this better than I can on the Streak. It's just a fact of life. The weight isn't hurting the Streak at all. It's what, 0.4 ounces. I guess maybe you'd notice that, but probably not. Now, moving on to deployment and action and all that stuff. Love me a compression lock. Don't get me wrong. And this one's really good, and it's broken in great. I put a lot of miles in this thing, so it is as good as compression lock is going to get, and that's a good thing because Taichung doesn't notoriously do that great with the compression locks. When they've done them, sometimes they're a little stiff. They take a long time to break in. This one didn't. But I got to give the win to the Streak. The detent is perfect. And this is also broken in well. I've also used this quite a bit, and it has gotten so smooth. It's not the total drop shut, but if you guys could feel it, oh my Lord, this thing has gotten so smooth. It's, not to overuse the phrase, Sebenza smooth. It really is. It's just, with these, it's running on ceramic ball bearings, and it's just, oh, it's broken in so good, and it's so snappy when it opens. This is a pleasure to just flick around. Really liking this. I just think the action on I got to give a win to the Streak on that. Even though I love the compression lock, and the compression lock's also fun to play with. I don't know. There's something about the snap on this that you just can't get past. It's just so good. Value. This one, not a shocker. You got to give it to the Wii. I mean, $146, M390. No, you're not getting fancy carbon fiber scales, but if you're going to value one thing above the other, it'd be the steel. And then this is M390 against S30V. Pretty big jump, usually in prices there. And $146 versus $188. It's $188.50, whatever it was. That's a pretty significant jump. And I don't know if you can say anymore, but Spyderco has a better rep. Yeah, I guess maybe you can still say that, but Wii's not a new company anymore. They've been around the block a little while. Not quite sure, as far as reputation and whatever, you'd put them up, but it's close. And Wii makes a ton of stuff, and don't get that many complaints. I really think Wii makes everybody's everything. So especially if you're buying like a production knife from some custom manufacturer, probably 80% chance Wii made it. Got to go to the Streak. I'm going a long way just to say yes, definitely the Streak I think is a better value. I don't think anybody would buy a Kapara and feel like they got ripped off. It feels like a very quality, nice piece. Definitely when you get it in your hand, it feels every bit worth the $188.50. But when you start looking at the stats and stuff, Streak is probably a better value. And you get more choices, all that kind of stuff. So where does that leave us? That leaves us up by scores on a 3-2 win for the Kapara, but very slimly. I have to say, it's a very slim win for the Kapara. Yes, if I only had to keep one of these two, I would keep the Kapara, but it wouldn't. And for me, it would be a pretty easy decision because I just love the way it looks. If you don't care as much about the looks, this is a great freaking knife. The Streak is awesome. And again, this is, even though it's a win for the Kapara, it's also a bit of a win for the Streak just because this is a mid-range Wii. And it's punching against top-of-the-line Spyderco. And it's narrowly losing. It's like, it's kind of like one of those boxing matches where the the guy's a huge underdog and he goes all 12 rounds and narrowly loses, but it still boosts his career. It's kind of one of those things here with this. It's yeah, it's losing, but narrowly to a knife that it should, by all intents and purposes, lose by a lot to, and it's only losing by a little bit. So I'm glad I did this comparison. It was interesting to me. I hope it's interesting to you guys. Go check these out. You can go to White Mountain Knives. If they have them in stock, you can get 10% off using my code SDWMK. I believe they have both these in stock right now. I'm not sure. But go check them out there, or your other favorite retailers anywhere. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I've been Brian. Have a good one.